UA.
Ready or not, here comes spring and all the work that comes with it. So now's the perfect time to get a tough tractor that's ready for anything this season can throw at it. Right now, you can get 0% or save thousands on select models during the Mahindra Spring Sales Event. Go to MahindraUSA.com to see all our deals and to find a local family-owned dealer near you.
Visit your Mahindra dealer at Zaremba Equipment in Gaylord or online at ZarembaEquipment.com or Pioneer Diesel in Traverse City or PioneerDiesel.com.
Welcome to Friday Faceoff. Rich Calkins in studio. Jerry Coyne will be joining us momentarily. And we're going to talk today about some NC2A basketball tournament. Of course, games that were played last night. Games, of course, are going to be played tonight as well. Some games down in Detroit at Little Caesars Arena. But we got to start off opening day Tiger baseball. The Tigers start off with a 1-0 victory over the Chicago White Sox. Obviously, a pitcher's duel as Tarek Skubal pitched 6 innings of shutout baseball. And then the bullpen comes in and slams the door on the White Sox as well. So incredible start in the pitching department here for sure. And the only RBI scored was by Javi Baez.
Yeah, we thought that was highly amusing, Rich. Baez gets a double, his first at bat. You know, we've been bemoaning his hitting all spring long, especially after last year's debacle. But he gets a double.
Well, he got a single
stole second base.
So he did it all.
Yeah, that's right.
And then advanced on a fly ball, and then came in then on when a fly ball by Ibanez.
That's right.
And and Javi scores, and of course the Chicago fans have been on him since before the game started.
Oh yeah, I mean he was a hated Cub, yeah. And I don't know how they still have that cloud around him, but Rich, I think you and I both agree that the Tigers are going to have to score a lot of these type of runs because I don't know how explosive the offense will be. We can keep our fingers crossed. I mean, I think this is the model, the blueprint for a lot of Tiger victories coming up. Yeah. Great pitching, score when you can, and eke out low-scoring wins.
Yeah, because when you face that Tigers lineup, there aren't a murderer's row there that of proven Major League Baseball bats. You know what I mean? We're hoping that Torkelson can repeat, if not even build upon the 30 home runs he had last year. And a young Riley Green, who was coming off an injury, and we're hoping for him. We have Colt Keith.
Made some unbelievable catches.
His defense is amazing.
Yeah.
Riley, I mean, and putting him out in left field, we're hoping to protect him a little bit. So,
yep.
But that tells you something, too, that how good our center fielder is when you can move Riley Green out of center and put him over in left field as well.
Well, they, like you said, they did it primarily to defend his body a little bit. But, he had to make some unbelievable catches in left. So he took, sprawled out for that one hit exactly like how he hurt his elbow last year. So everybody holding their breath, and but they were necessary defensive plays to keep that one-run lead and escape with a victory.
Yeah, exactly. And like most of last year, also JC, the blueprint is our bullpen really pitched well.
Yeah.
And they've got some new faces in there with the Miller guy
who's
been around for a while, but then you have some of those other guys that have been there with that. And they have 3, we were talking about who's going to be the left-handers and things like that. Well, they've got 3 guys in the bullpen that are left-handers.
Yeah.
Now. So with Chafin being one of them, came in and pitched really well, and then everyone else just lined up and did their thing, throwing the heat in a about a 50-degree day down in Chicago, which was much warmer than it was up here, so that's a good thing for them. But hey, we will take, never apologize for that kind of win.
Oh, like I said, that's going to be the blueprint. Those are the way the Tigers going to have to win the games. And, granted, it's against on paper at least, an inferior opponent. Mm-hmm. So hopefully the Tigers are off today. But they've got Saturday and Sunday, and let's see if they get out with a series win.
Right. Kenta Maeda going tomorrow, like you said, JC, and that's a 2:10 start. Afternoon games, like you said. And the Tigers, we talked about it a little bit yesterday at our remote down at the Silver Dollar. And they need to get off to a much better April. And with this lineup that they have as far as the schedule, they're at the Chicago for 3. Then they go to the Mets for 3. Then they come home for their home opener against the Oakland A's.
Right.
And then they go back on the road for Pittsburgh for 3. So with those are winnable series.
There's no doubt. I don't know what the Mets are going to be like this year. They did not spend nearly the same amount of money that they did last year, $1 billion in free agents. And I don't think any of them are stuck around. They shipped them all out.
Fire sale at the end. They're
right.
Like, oh, this is a horrible move. Someone got to get some takers.
So I don't know what the Mets will be like. But, the A's are predicted to be the worst team in baseball. And Pittsburgh is much like the Tigers.
Yep, kind of an up-and-coming team.
Yep, they've got some talent. They got some young kids. It's kind of turned into – that was our designated series when they were doing – when they were trying to find rivals.
Yeah.
I don't know how it came up that Pittsburgh is our rival in the National League. But it actually kind of turned out that way, and they had some really compelling series against each other for the last decade.
Yeah, they did, exactly. Yeah, like you said, trying to match up American League, National League series here.
It's obviously, we don't have a traditional rival like the Yankees and the Mets or the Cubs and the White Sox. I've had this discussion with a number of people, and you pointed out yesterday that we had a winning record in every month last year other than what happened in April.
Exactly. Yeah, you get to those records, that you're, almost 10 games under 500 in April, and then you play above 500 baseball the rest of the way, but you're always constantly digging your way out of a hole the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just play 500 baseball in April, then go on a heater midway through when the weather warms up and some of those bats come alive and these younger guys get more at bats at the MLB level. It's just, I think we're in for an exciting season.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ideal example of the opposite of that is when we went 26-4 when we won the World Series in 1984. Most people don't realize that the team only played 5 games over 500 for the rest of the year.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, when you start off for 35-5 and the first 40, it's like, well, let's just kind of play baseball along the way, and then when it gets to obviously we're going to be a playoff team here, and then they were able to continue to roll it and win the last World Series that we've seen.
Yeah, the old saying in baseball is you're going to win 60 games, you're going to lose 60 games, and it's what you do with the other 60 games that determines if you're going to make the playoffs or not.
And that's where I like A.J. Hinch, is that he's able to, again, from afar, squeeze out every ounce of ability out of every player. He finds wins in the margins. And now he won't talk about the player's shortcomings. He'll emphasize the positive thing that they can do, and he'll use them that way. And you saw Gio Urshela, the off-season signing that we thought was a really good sign, didn't start at third base. He wanted Ibanez's bat in there.
Yep.
And he got a single, and he got the sacrifice fly in there. Then Urshela comes in the ninth
for the defensive. Yeah. No, well, Urshela, he's going to do a lot of platooning. He's got a lot of righty-lefty in this lineup. Ibanez started at the top of the order because he's a left-hander. Parker Meadows will be in there when they're facing right-handers. So, and Urshela will be in the lineup when they're facing right-handers. So he's got a lot of movable pieces that is kind of exciting for him because he is that kind of manager.
He is the chess piece.
Yeah, and the thing that he always says is, I don't care about developing players. Our job is to win the game. You know, we had spring training. Yeah, we like to build for the future. That's kind of Scott Harris's deal. That's why they didn't go out and get J.D. Martinez. But at this, I don't care now.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to win ball games.
Right. All that development needs to take place at the lower level, so when they come up, they have a ready-made product ready to succeed at the major league level. That's why they keep guys maybe a little longer in the minor leagues than some people would like.
Yeah.
Because, again, like you said, A.J. Hinch wants these guys to be able to know baseball and to win his style of way.
Yep.
These guys are there's so many of these guys that can play 3 and 4 positions.
Right.
He loves to be able to have that flexibility.
And it will be put on display all season long. The other thing that will be put on display, like you mentioned, Skubal was great. He had a kind of iffy first inning,
Right.
But after that, they only put a couple of balls in play.
Right. He expect, great
A lot of
job.
people targeting him for a potential Cy Young.
That's
So
right. Because you saw how he pitched the second half of last season. He was dominant after coming off an elbow injury. So that last half, you saw what the potential was. He earned his way into being named the starter. He said obviously he was a little nervous going in being the starter, named the opening day starter. But hey, that comes with youth. But his skill level is just off the charts. His ability to pitch, not only can he throw heat, but he can, he paints the corners, and he's got off-speed stuff.
yeah, his slider's incredible.
Oh, it's just the batters are off balance and uncomfortable up there.
Yep. And it doesn't hurt that he's a lefty.
No, it does not. Our only starter that's a lefty.
That's right. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Like you mentioned, Maeda will pitch on Friday, I think, or Saturday, and Flaherty's going to pitch Sunday, which are the 2 free agent acquisitions. But then, we're going to see Mize, Casey Mize.
It would be good to see Casey Mize.
Well, he pitched great in spring training.
Really
His
did.
velocity is better than it's ever been.
Because remember, he's coming off 2 surgeries.
Well, he
That
had a
back.
Tommy John and a back. Yeah.
So exactly. So it's not just your traditional Tommy John recovery. He had that back surgery as well. So, but I like what they were doing with him. We haven't seen him in almost 2 years now. So it'd be great to see him back on the mound again.
Since we're talking about baseball, we haven't. We weren't in here last week when we hadn't heard the news about Shohei Ohtani yet. So, and most of you know this story, is Ohtani's interpreter purportedly ran up gambling debts of over $4.5 million. And then the story came out is that Ohtani went ahead and paid it for him, wired transferred into a California professional bookie. Sports gambling is illegal in California. So, and the FBI was investigating this guy, and then they saw these wire transfers. So it doesn't really look very stellar for Ohtani. Now, there's been a couple of reports, Rich. The best way I heard this mentioned, and when you think about it this way, it is really plausible, is the fact that, Ohtani really does not speak English at all.
No.
And
there's maybe a word or two he can understand, the basics. That's it.
Like 1 out. That's 1 or 2 outs, and that's even the number electronic system with the pitcher and the catcher. Because he does not, the catcher for the Dodgers doesn't speak Japanese. So you've got but the interpreter that is at the center of this whole thing. There's more and more stories coming out is that, he used his the trust that Ohtani had in him to basically be his mouth and his ears for English versus Japanese. And he used to leverage these things. Like if you need to get, if you need something from Shohei, you got to talk to me. So not just an interpreter, but kind of like, his personal representative, his personal agent, and did a lot of day-to-day things with him. So it's not out of the question at all that this guy stepped into the breach and did a lot of things that he really had.
He had access to a lot of stuff that mainly, someone, because when you're in a foreign country and you have someone beside you that speaks the language, you have that natural bond anyway. And then, like you said, they did much more than just that. They did pretty much everything together.
Yeah.
And so that's when that closeness develops with that, not only an interpreter, but a friendship and everything. And so, you could definitely see that could happen for sure.
Well, and then, as that gets further and further and you see how much money your friend who you do so many things for is like, well, I'm entitled.
Right. And then it's just, and trust me, baseball does not want this in the worst way. They do not want Ohtani to be,
Well, number one, the bets were not on baseball to begin with.
Right, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then somebody else brought another thing up is like, baseball is a day in, day out sport. I don't think that Shohei Ohtani is spending a lot of time, looking up the point spreads on other games. And he's really a traditional Japanese guy now. I don't know if he knows anything about football. I'm sure he knows the game of basketball because it's popular in Japan.
Right. So
the whole story is, like you said, it's a horrible hot potato for Major League Baseball. But, I don't know if I'm gullible or I'm not as cynical as some of these other people, but I don't believe that Shohei Ohtani was betting on sports.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I lean that way right now too. It's just in baseball, I see, because you've got, like you said though, you got the FBI involved, you have this going on, you have all kinds of different parties that are going to be investigating it. But just overall, baseball wants to get beyond this, and they're hoping by all that it's absolutely the exact way as Ohtani came out and with a stern statement said that he absolutely was not involved with this at all.
All right, when we return here on Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, we will deal with panic in Detroit as the Red Wings give up another loss, and things are looking a little bleak. I was listening to sports radio on the way in, and panic is gripping Red Wing Nation for sure, Rich. All right, back after this. Speaking of the NHL, it's Destination NHL. It's time for Destination NHL. Jerry Coyne on the phone with Kevin Klein, the director of Cherry Capital Airport. Kev, the Wings keep jumping in and out of that last playoff spot, so we want to rally the troops and get them on the road and root the Wings home with 2 victories.
Yes, we do. Last night was such a nail-biter. That was crazy, but we got it done.
We got it done. And so we cooked up a trip.
It's time to get away to your dream destination. Beat the winter and fly TVC to Sun and Sand. Looking for your spring break getaway? Book today. Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United are getting you where you want to go. Visit tvcairport.com for up-to-the-minute flight schedules.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. A place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
The all-new QTA is here, ready to personalize or protect your ride. What you drive is an extension of you. QTA will make it just for you with a great selection of lift kits, off-road extensions, rims, tires, and hitches. And QTA will protect that investment with rust-proofing and undercoating. See everything that we can do at QTAonline.com or call 989-745-6127 and beautify your baby today.
Get fired up with Detroit Pistons basketball. Brought to you in part by Cherry Capital Airport, TVC. Your total value and convenient airport, TVC.com. Detroit Pistons basketball, right here on 101.1 WGRY, Up North Sports Radio.
It's time for Destination NHL. Jerry Coyne is on the phone with Kevin Klein from the Cherry Capital Airport. Kevin, you used Allegiant Airline out of Cherry Capital Airport to go on spring break. Tell our listeners how that went.
Oh, that's so easy. Let me tell you, you get the TVC on board the airplane. 3 hours later, you are in Florida. Non-stop, right, start to finish. Nothing gets in your way. I'll tell you, the flight crew is awesome. We got into Orlando, got to our rental car. We were on the beach in minutes. That's what it's all about. The ease of flying nonstop. We have 20 destinations, now 6 great airlines to take you pretty much in anywhere in the world. Our latest is Avelo Air, and they joined us for this summer going to New Haven, Connecticut. So, anywhere you want to go in the country, we've got it, from low fares to the traditional carriers. Cherry Capital Airport can make it happen.
No doubt about it, and we can make it happen for you. The Wings are in Carolina tonight, but they're visiting the 2 Florida teams this weekend, and even last minute, the rate is pretty good to fly to Tampa and see them play the Lightning.
If you want to jump on board and go Allegiant to Tampa St. Pete, what we call Pie, our Cherry Pie, it's PIE is their 3-letter code like our TVC. So you can get there for $356 last minute, kind of that walk-up fare. That's an awesome fare for a walk-up fare. And to get to Tampa, you can fly out Saturday morning here and get into Tampa, be ready for that Sunday game.
Actually, if you get in on Saturday, you have time to rent a car, drive down to Miami and see them play the Florida Panthers, then drive back to Tampa and see them play the Lightning on Monday, because the tickets at both of those arenas are cheap.
Awesome.
Yeah. So,
when the Wings need those wins, the Wings need those wins here as fast as we can so we can keep going still. We're right on that cusp. We
gotta get the wins. Yeah, and then they play the Penguins in Pittsburgh on 4/11, and you can fly. You sent me that fare. What is it? 313 round trip from Cherry Capital. Yeah,
Delta Airlines, and so our traditional carrier with Delta connecting through Detroit and making that a one-stop connection to Pittsburgh, and another great opportunity to go see our Wings. Pittsburgh's a fun city.
No, Pittsburgh is great. Really clean, really beautiful. So the only thing we don't like is the Penguins. So. All right.
Yes, of course. Anybody playing the Wings is our enemy right now.
That is
playoffs.
Pure truth there, Kevin Klein. What is the website again?
TVCairport.com.
Go Wings, Kevin. Enjoy the sunshine.
All right, there you go. That is Destination NHL, and unfortunately, the destination of Carolina for the Red Wings, Rich, not good.
No, not good at all. No scoring in the first period last night. Was surfing through, watching a bunch of basketball, of course, last night, and keeping an eye on the Red Wings as well. And but that second period belonged to Carolina as they scored all 4 of their goals in that second period, and then just coasted to a win.
Yeah, the goaltending is starting to fall apart.
It is.
We talked a little bit about, was there a potential move for goaltender at the trading deadline? I don't think any goaltenders that I can think of were moved. I didn't know if anybody was available, but the injury to Ville Husso, who I have never even heard of, like if he's a potential to come back or not.
Yeah.
It just seems
it's
always.
amazing in hockey. Once someone gets injured and you get the proverbial lower body injury or whatever, then they just like disappear.
Yeah, and we had some hot goaltending from who was it?
Was it Reimer?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Reimer. It's the other one, or was Reimer? It doesn't matter. They're both now.
Yeah.
It's in the toilet.
Right.
And the defense is not covering up these problems. In fact, they're creating a lot of problems, allowing a lot of fairly open shots in the slots here. And I don't know if there's a fix.
No, I know, and it'll be deeply disappointing to all of Red Wing Nation if they don't somehow make the playoffs this year. Because what do we have, a 9 or 10 point lead?
8-point lead. Yeah. We got lucky last night. The Caps lost to the Maple Leafs, but the Wings don't have. They've got tomorrow night. They're in Florida,
right?
And then on Monday they're in Tampa. And Tampa's the hottest team in the league.
And it's just and we knew when we looked at the schedule here, this was that part of a really tough stretch where with the Carolinas and the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Rays are all of that, and they are all of a sudden, because these are real legitimate hockey teams, and the Red Wings.
Well, the next 3 games are against the 3 best teams in the league.
Yeah.
So you got the Panthers, you've got the Lightning, and you've got the Rangers.
Yeah.
And then you got the Sabres, who are in the hunt. Then we got the Capitals again.
Right.
The Penguins, the Maple Leafs, the Canadiens twice. That's the end. So what do we got? Is that 10 games left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
9 games left. None of them a layup.
No, not at all. And especially, you'd like to see, we got that initial burst when Dylan Larkin came back.
Yep.
We saw being a part of that team, what it means to that whole lineup. But then since that little spark initially, then it's gone right back to some old.
Yeah, they've lost 3 in a row again. And, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how they're going to turn it around. DeBrickett is that the scoring line came back, like you said, the first game back with Larkin, they were explosive. Since then, the scoring has fallen way off. They got blanked yesterday, and it doesn't look good. It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I mean, just again, we had that lead.
I jinxed it. I said, "There's no way they could blow this," and they did.
Oh, it's just mind blowing. And again, like you said, now the talking heads around the greater Detroit area are just going
bananas. Oh yeah,
they are.
They should. It's been 9 years since they've been in the playoffs. Now it's looking like it's going to be 10. And there's no help coming. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they, they just go ahead and get the goalie out of Grand Rapids and see if he can catch lightning in a bottle. I think there's worse ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's time to, it's probably past time now for a lot of real diehard Wings fans that they want something. They did bring up the young defenseman, and I think he's played all right, but again, there's that defense, and then the coach is starting to feel the heat too, because he called out Andrew Cobb a couple of nights ago when they lost that game, that he was in the center ice for the face-off, and he didn't cover the man that he was supposed to right after the face-off. He's got the guy in the inner circle, and then he just let him go, and he ended up scoring the winning goal. And and
things are all disjointed. Jeff Petrie misses a wide open net, and if he scores that goal, they win that game against the Capitals. Instead, it goes into overtime, and they lose it. So. When things are going bad, things start going bad.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The goaltender, that's down in Grand Rapids is Kosa.
Okay, yeah, a draft pick.
Yeah, well, they used a first-round pick on him. And I was just going to pick up. They've got 3 goalies down there. What is Kosa's record? He's 2.53 goals against, 0.912 save percentage. He's 17 wins in 32 games and 1 shutout.
Okay.
He's 6'7".
Yeah, he's huge. He's like the hugest goalie I've ever seen.
Yeah. He was 15th overall in the 2021 NHL draft. I mean, I'm looking at this. It doesn't look like he's ever been. Reassigned to Toledo by Detroit. So it doesn't look like he's ever played in the NHL.
Yeah, I don't think he has. Yeah, because he was again a few years ago top pick by the Red Wings, first-round pick, and I knew he was huge. Basically, their adage is get a big enough body in there, and he'll just take up most of the net, and then he'll block shots just that way.
I don't think it's a horrible idea because what's the worst can happen?
Right.
You can keep losing games. I mean,
exactly. No, and of course he would be excited, and like you said, there's numerous stories throughout the NHL of when someone gets hot in goaltending, and guys that you would never have predicted got hot. So it was Mrazek, a former Red Wing goaltender, caught a heater a few years ago in the playoffs and just ran and carried the team deep into the playoffs. I mean, it happens.
no, I know. I mean, I'm not going to knock Steve Yzerman, but, the plan. We were very upset with him last year when they decided to move some players, when they lost a couple games at the trading deadline. He goes, well, even if we make it into the playoffs, we got to play Boston. And, of course, the Panthers made it in and beat Boston. So you never know. The biggest crapshoot in the world is the NHL playoffs. But, sometimes you gotta step outside of your own comfort zone.
You do, absolutely. Yeah, you got the temperature of the team, all of that. It's important.
They've got to be all crapping in their pants.
Beginning of the season, from every person that we talked to, the goal is the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Because of the veteran signings they had signed more defensemen, quality backup at the center ice area, all of them, more wings, depth. We had legitimate NHL players at every position.
Yep.
And it looked like it was good, again, up to 3 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden now it has gone to the point of where now we're struggling to possibly make that final position.
Yeah, it is frustrating beyond all belief, and like we said, I don't know what the fix is, right. But if they don't make the playoffs, do we start looking at Yzerman as not really having his hands on the wheel the right way, his hands on the wheel correctly? Do they go out and make some huge, free agent acquisitions to bolster this roster? The one thing I've been talking about throughout the entire year, Rich, is the fact is they don't have a superstar. I mean, Patrick Kane was a superstar. He's been good.
But he's past his prime for sure, and he's still dealing with that hip. Later in your career, it's just we've gotten about the most out of Kane that we can get.
Yeah, some of these guys, when Keith's been in here, when all the bad draft luck that we've gotten, some of these the guys that we were in line to get are really starting to play fantastic hockey. Like Alex Fournier in the Rangers is all, he was the second or third guy taken. Yeah. And he's playing lights out hockey. And that's what this team needs, is they need a superstar.
And you see the Hughes brothers on different teams, local boys that are playing really well in the NHL. And it just
Connor Bedard,
it hurts.
we just We had the worst record in the NHL for 3 or 4 years and never got the first pick in the draft.
I think they were talking the other day, and it was the Red Wings, literally proven factually with all of the analytics, have had the worst luck of any team in any draft, of the 4 major sports. The Red Wings have had the absolute worst luck.
Oh boy, we got that going for it.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad we can laugh about it.
Yeah, we have to.
All right. When we return, we'll talk about the NCAA tournament in Detroit tonight.
That's right.
But I do want to, unfortunately, Lindsay can't join us, Lindsay Southwell from Shanty Creek, with hang time. But we're not too far from opening up the golf courses, only a few weeks away, and we got some exciting things happening this season. So Lindsay wanted to give us the lowdown. Cedar River Golf Club is celebrating its 25th anniversary. That is a milestone. Tom Weiskopf sure knew what he was doing when he carved out Cedar River out of the woods in Bel Air. It's such a beautiful course and truly embodies Northern Michigan golf with lots of elevation changes, undulation from tee to green, woods, water. It's perfection. And she put in her notes here, it's one of JC's faves. It actually is my favorite golf course to play in Northern Michigan. It is gorgeous. It is playable. It's challenging. It's fun. I love that golf course. I really, really do. And I know that they're going to have a special for a couple of days where you can play Cedar River. I think it's for $25. I can't wait to get the information from Lindsay when she gets back.
Incredible deal.
Because next week, Friday Faceoff starts, Rich.
Yeah.
Yep, our golf show here, locally produced.
I'm Finding Fairways. That's a good, really ramping that up this year. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to be live Facebooking it and everything else. Hawkeye Golf Course is also celebrating a milestone this year. It'll be 20 years old. For those not too familiar with Hawkeye, it's Shanty Creek's newest course, located right next door to Cedar River, and it's a fun course. You can play it differently every time you go out, and it's quickly becoming one of Shanty Creek's more popular courses. There will be a ton of exciting specials and promos to look forward to during this golf anniversary year, so stay tuned, and Lindsay will give us the lowdown next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Last but not least, back by popular demand, Shanty Creek is bringing back its ladies' golf school. Specifically tailored for women, Shanty Creek Resort's 3-day golf school is a comprehensive learning experience covering all areas of play from the driving to putting and everything else in between. The 2024 ladies golf schedule includes 3 nights lodging, 7.5 hours of instruction, rounds of golf on the Legend and Shush Mountain Golf Course, $25 gift cards to spend in dining or the pro shop. The dates available are June 4th and 6th and July 16th and 18th. Of course, everything that we talk about here is available to go to be seen at shantycreek.com. Back after these on Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
A third straight loss for the Red Wings as they came up short in Carolina, blanked by the Hurricanes 4-0, with all 4 goals coming in the second period. Detroit was handily outshot during the game and were unable to capitalize on other teams in the race losing elsewhere.
Other teams are missing out on the opportunity, and it's still up to us. Just gotta, wake up pretty soon and just be the team that we definitely can be.
Mo Sider there. Washington lost their game in Toronto but remained 2 points up on the Wings in the standings. A solid debut for the 2024 Tigers. They won opening day 1-0 in Chicago as Tarek Skubal and the bullpen blanked the White Sox. The only run of the game was a sacrifice fly by Andy Ibanez in the third inning. After a fun ride in the NCAA tournament, Oakland star Trey Townsend deciding to declare for the NBA draft and test the waters. He can still return to play college ball later in the process. And NCAA tournament wins for UConn, Alabama, Clemson, and Illinois. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Well, that's true. First round guaranteed.
Guaranteed, exactly.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport TVC. Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins in studio, and Rich, again, NCAA tournament, impossible to screw up. They keep trying and trying to do it, but man, last night was some incredible basketball.
It was quality basketball games last night, highly entertaining, right down to the bitter end. I mean, it just, when you see the Alabama upsetting North Carolina, that was a great high scoring.
Clemson upsetting Arizona. So in tight ball games.
Yes, exactly. So Alabama and Clemson are going to meet. Now, we're not talking football here. We're talking basketball. And that's just amazing to see these two schools, a 4th seed and a 6th seed, making it out. So that's incredible. And then UConn continues to dominate.
Yeah, they just rolled.
They do. They roll. So Illinois is going to match up with them, and that was a good game last night.
Great game.
Illinois and Iowa State.
Kept my bracket intact. If Illinois can somehow manage to beat Connecticut, then I have Illinois in the Final Four on mine. So go screw yourself, Connecticut.
Yeah, but they
look pretty hard.
They do, and it's just like, and you're like, who are these guys?
Yeah.
I mean, they just have a bunch of guys out there that play the consummate team role, and they play good basketball, and there's no other way. And led by Danny Hurley is their head coach.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent coach, very demanding. And they play basketball the right way.
Yeah, it's funny. I did not know this. Evidently, Hurley had some mental issues. Bobby's his older brother. His dad is in the Hall of Coaches, right. American Coaches Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest high school basketball coaches of all time. And
Bobby had that horrible accident.
But Danny was a very good high school, played for his dad, was a recruit at Duke, ended up going to Seton Hall, and then he had not a nervous breakdown, but he lost all confidence in his game. He stepped away from the game. He's written a book about it that evidently a lot of coaches in the country have read this book about, not being able to be satisfied with winning. You hear this from coaches all the time, Rich. The wins don't mean anything. The losses stay with you forever. Which is true, about with me. The one loss that that we lost in the state final game, I never forget it. And so he wrote a book that kind of delved into all of this and has become like the Bible for all these coaches. And Bruce Pearl talked about it yesterday because he was on the panel.
He was, yeah.
He was great. And Jay Wright and he
are my gosh.
So good.
Yeah, they are.
I love the Barkley and the Kenny.
Yeah.
But
that's
the
more
other panel,
entertainment like.
Yeah. The nuts and bolts. And Candace Parker is fantastic.
She is can break the game down.
Yeah.
And explain it, and it does a great job.
Yeah. No, I like that panel from a basketball insider standpoint. I think it's actually better than the Barkley and Kenny deal.
When it comes to X's and O's and things. Like you said, with Jay Wright, numerous state or national titles, and retired at what most people would say a relatively young age.
Well, he looks good.
He sure looks good. Yeah. Retirement is serving him well. And but no, like you said, then you had Bruce Pearl in there.
Yeah.
Who I liked him when he worked at ESPN.
He does a great job. Yeah. He didn't go to ESPN because they don't do the games in the tournament.
That's right. Went over to the TBS side.
Yeah. So, so Hurley has.
No, that's fascinating. I'd like to check that book out.
Kind of worked his way around this, and then you see his press conferences now, and. He doesn't give the usual coach speech like, the other team played good and everything else. He goes, I don't care about the other team. You could tell that he did, when he was talking to Dutcher after the end of the game.
Yeah, sure.
I know almost exactly what he said to Dutcher. He goes, you guys are doing doing it the right way at San Diego State.
Exactly.
But
and Dutcher having Northern Michigan roots and stuff with family.
But I can only. He goes like, Steve, keep up the good work. You guys are doing great stuff at San Diego State. Played them twice. Played them in the national final game last year, and now rolled them again here last night. But Hurley, when he's in this press conference, is like, I don't care about the other team. Yeah. I've got my team to coach. We have expectations. We have goals. We're meeting them. But we're not when we hoist the trophy, then we've done our job.
Yeah, exactly. That is the ultimate goal.
Pats on the backs for the other team. That's not my style.
Yeah.
So, they're a wagon.
They are, and he's trying to keep that team focused because now you've got a lot of the talking heads saying it's a UConn Invitational, and of course the last thing. That's the death to a team if they start believing some of that crap.
Well, Illinois is not supposed. They can score, but they, people say they have problems defensively. They turned the ball over against who'd they beat last night?
Iowa State.
Iowa State. Yeah, Iowa State was supposed to be the better defensive team. Illinois out-defended Iowa State. It was a fantastic basketball game. But, if Illinois can raise their defensive level and still score the basketball, they're going to give Connecticut all they want.
Yeah, I believe.
Or hopefully at least under a 10-point.
I think, they're the two highest scoring teams in the NC2A this year. So,
I think Alabama is.
Yeah, but we'll.
Alabama is averaging 90 points a game.
The Shannon kid for Illinois, though, is obviously he's going to be an NBA player and all that.
Well, he wanted to come to Michigan and they wouldn't let him in.
Another tale of woe.
Yeah.
To have
he wanted to
that
play there.
Strength at the guard position.
They would have had him in Love.
Oh, Love. They didn't let Love in.
They didn't allow him to transfer in because of grades. Because North Carolina is a crappy school.
And that's what. And of course, Michigan hired a new coach, by the way, Dusty May, and they were taught some of the issues they were talking about is allowing players in, especially the transfer rule is what classes will transfer to Michigan. That seems to be the major sticking point of why some of these kids can't come in.
Well, and we never saw those problems with the kids that wanted to transfer in on the football side of things.
No, you did not, because we know who was running the show.
Yeah. Before we get to Dusty May, let's talk about the other games that were played last night. You mentioned very briefly Alabama beat North Carolina. That was a big upset.
It was.
Did you see the press conference from that game? R.J. Davis, who was the biggest star on North Carolina. This is a North Carolina team that 2 years ago, with essentially the same players, lost to Kansas in the national finals.
And the R.J. Davis, ACC Player of the Year.
Went 0 for 9 for 3.
He did, yeah. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
No, and he actually missed the layup at the end of the game that would have sent the game into overtime. And he couldn't talk. I don't even know why. I don't know if the NCAA made him go to the dais or not.
I did not see that.
But he said a couple of words and then he just started crying. Right. And so the other players had to step in. It was sad and ridiculous. I don't even know you have to do this, or maybe he said I'll do it, and then he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. You'd hope that they're not forced to go up there.
I don't know. And I don't know the answer to that question, but it was sad to watch.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. I can imagine. It shows you how much this means to these kids.
Oh yeah.
I mean
those guys their careers are over.
Right. The last time putting on that uniform at a high-level blue blood program like that's
especially when you lose a game like that you have no. It's not the last game. Like when you make it to the final game, your season's over. We want to win, okay? But at least one way or the other, this is the last time I'm putting on this jersey.
Yeah.
There's no way on the planet that North Carolina figured that they would lose to Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So. Kudos to Nate Oates.
Oates, man, yeah. What a great job.
His press conference was wild, too. He's like, Yeah, they said we couldn't play defense. We played a little defense.
And he called out Charles Barkley, too, I believe, and said something about that we were a little soft or something like that. And he's like, I don't think we're soft. And so, no, it was...
No, actually, he might have done that, but Barkley was rooting for Alabama.
Oh, because he wanted to stick it to Kenny.
To Kenny.
Kenny the Jet Smith.
But he's also, Alabama's the SEC team that's left in the tournament. So,
yes.
Obviously he's an Auburn
guy. And that's why Bruce Pearl was sitting on the other stage there at TBS. Because, again, I picked them to win it all. So 2 years in a row, first weekend, I'm out. So that happens.
Yeah, so tonight you've got in Detroit. Purdue is playing Gonzaga. It's going to be a hell of a basketball game.
Yeah, they really got some great basketball matchups again tonight.
Yeah, and then Creighton and Tennessee. I'm really bummed out, Rich, that they got in Detroit. They got the Friday Sunday. Yeah. Instead of Thursday, Saturday, because I would definitely have gone to the games tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that would have been super cool for sure.
But
Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Gonzaga is going to present Purdue some issues. I think Purdue will prevail. And I can't believe I got that sentence out of my mouth.
Yeah, but how about Mark Few and the job he's done with Gonzaga again this year? Without the star-studded team like in years past, you've heard about these guys and all of that. Well, this year they're a little bit under the radar, a fifth seed.
Tell me a guy from Gonzaga that's been a star in the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, I know. I got it. That goes more
it's just like Duke. People
Mark
used to argue like, oh, Duke and North Carolina are the same. I go, well, they're not really, because North Carolina has 25 guys that are in the NBA Hall of Fame, and Duke has one.
Mm-hmm. You see the one that's the consummate great college program and doing that. But again, whereas North Carolina, starting with Michael Jordan
even
James
before
Worthy.
Jordan, Bob McAdoo.
Oh, yeah.
So, Gonzaga has built that program, a blue blood out of a mid-major.
Yes.
How he's done that is just amazing.
Yeah, in the Pacific Northwest there.
Yeah, and who you got? So we got Houston playing Duke. Yeah. That should be a pretty good game.
Yeah, it should be.
And then Marquette's taking on my boys at NC State.
And Houston, of course, shaking off that 30-point defeat in their conference tournament by Iowa State. Sometimes that happens, You just
you don't that's how North Carolina lost yesterday when you don't make any of your shots.
Yeah.
We've talked about this since this radio program has been on. Sometimes it's just as easy as they shot the ball better than we did.
They did, yep, make and miss. And the difference is you're going on, and the other one, you're washing your uniform for the last time.
One of the biggest upsets in college basketball history in the finals was when Villanova beat Georgetown. Mm-hmm. The Patrick Ewing-led Georgetown juggernaut.
Right.
Because they shot 80% from the floor.
Exactly. You shoot that from the floor, you're doing so. Also, we got to mention NC State as an 11 seed taking on Marquette.
I just did.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry about that. But that's the NC State team that Oakland University took right to the brink.
Well, I told you I've got NC State in the Final Four because I saw the corollary of them having to win the ACC tournament to make it into the tournament, which is exactly what happened in 1980 with Valvano.
The Valvano
year. That was the most money I ever made on the NCAA tournament back then, is when the Valvano's team marched their way to the and then, man, did I make a lot of money on that last game.
That was remember watching that game and Valvano running around like a madman on the court. It was incredible.
And then you've got the games on Saturday and Sunday. So as usual, the tournament doesn't disappoint. The other really interesting thing before we head to break, Rich, is that last year we had all these Cinderellas and ended up with a 5 a 4, a 5, and 2 sevens in the finals, which was the most unchalky Final Four in history. Now we only have one team that's not chalk.
Yes. Exactly.
So that was.
And that was
North
Carolina last night. Yep. That's the first 1 seed to lose now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll be glued to that. When we return here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, we'll talk about an interesting little story that Chad Patterson just sent us. And we're not going to talk about the Pistons, I don't think. But we might squeeze in a little bit of Detroit Lions stuff right after this.
It's time to get away to your dream destination. Beat the winter and fly TVC to Sun and Sand. Looking for your spring break getaway? Book today. Allegiant, American, Delta, Sun Country, and United are getting you where you want to go. Visit tvcairport.com for up-to-the-minute flight schedules.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2024 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite businesses, organizations, and professionals in Northern Michigan to earn them well-deserved recognition as Simply the Best. You can nominate once daily in each category now through Friday, May 10th. Our 2023 Simply the Best broke records with more than 14,500 nominations and more than 26,000 votes. Support your favorites and help them stand out above the rest. Nominate at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Are you willing to make a lasting impact on a child's life? Well, listen closely because I have an urgent message from Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm Tyler Bartosh. As a big brother, I've witnessed the incredible transformation when a child finds their role model. Today, I have a request to make. There's a wait list of children eagerly waiting to meet their mentor, confidant, and friend. Big Brothers Big Sisters needs your help to erase the wait list and bring joy to young hearts. Student, professional, or retiree, you have what it takes to be a mentor. Share your wisdom, your experiences, and your dreams with a child. Imagine the impact you can make by dedicating just 1 hour a week to mentoring a child. Please, join our incredible team of mentors in changing lives, one child at a time. Together, we can ensure that every child has a mentor. Visit bigsupnorth.com to join us today.
Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport, TVC, Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins. And Rich, how upset were you when you saw that Jadarius Sneed went for a third-round draft pick?
Yeah, I did not get that at all. I was hoping, obviously, our Detroit Lions would sign him.
Especially
really
after Cam Sutton. I'm like, okay, this is a third-round draft pick.
And then, I know. And then for our GM to come out and say, "Oh, we're not necessarily going to target another defensive back in the rest of free agency in the draft." I'm like, "Oh no, that's when you know official Lion season has started."
Lion,
not Lions, but the Lion, because there's no way in heck you can go to at the start of the season with the current crop of DBs we have. I like the Carlton Davis pickup. I like that.
Yeah.
But again, we need another starting caliber defensive back, whether we get a top-notch guy in the draft or if we trade for another guy. Or
he has said repeatedly that he doesn't like rookie cornerbacks.
So, but you're going to have to develop someone at some point.
Well, I get that.
And he always says,
and they were going to take the kid that went, who was it? The one that went to Seattle in the pick before us.
Oh yeah. Who turned out to be like an All-Pro right away. Yeah, who played for Illinois? Yes, yeah.
And Kyle Hamilton's not coming.
No, and I thought the Gonzalez kid from Oregon would have been a good pickup as well. And he played for Bill Belichick in his last year.
Yep.
And was started as a rookie until he tore his knee up. But no, we need definitely defensive back help still. There's going to be probably some quality DBs cut after the draft. There always is. There's people that are veterans that they decide, look, this kid ended up falling to us. We got a really good DB, and we think he can play right away. So you might see one of these guys as a cap casualty after the draft.
Yeah.
So I do expect us to add at least a couple of more defensive backs, one of them for sure, as a starting caliber. It's got to be a number 2, because I don't know who our number 2 corner is. It can't be that Amik Robertson guy that we got from the Oakland Raiders is a good quality guy, but he's 5'8". Okay, he's going to be like a slot guy, when they run nickel packages and all of that. He can't be your number 2 DB.
Yeah, and I don't think you get a starter at, what do they have, the 25th pick?
29th.
29th.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I know that they're looking at that kid from Toledo and a couple other ones. There's also
Mitchell
talk
kid,
that they'll take a wide out with that pick.
Yeah.
So you never know what Holmes is going to do.
You don't. Brad Holmes he's hard to read.
Yeah.
Because again, you just no idea. I mean, we're going to need to be thinking about a center too in the future, because I think Frank Ragnow is approaching his last years, because when you're dealing with chronic pain in your feet, your toe, your whatever, he's been able to tough it out for so long. But I expect him, and he's a world-class center. I wouldn't be surprised if we draft a guy that can play guard and center at some point.
Very quickly, Rich, Tristan Demlow from Grayling High School.
Yeah, the point guard that's a junior right now, will be a senior next year, was chosen to play to represent the USA in the United World Games over in Europe there. How cool is that?
That's awesome.
I mean, that's...
He's playing in Italy and France?
I mean, that's just amazing. Austria, it's just a 10-day trip.
That wasn't around when I was.
No, and he's a 17-year-old that's playing for the U19, under 19 years of age, representing the United States. What an awesome experience this kid is going to have.
That is just fantastic stuff. Kudos to Tristan. Hopefully it does him well, and it makes his senior year just that much better.
Oh, exactly. Obviously, his dad was an assistant coach for the Grayling Vikings on Cloud 9 as well, so congratulations, Tristan Demlow.
Yeah, the one last thing, Rich, before we go, we're at the break, is what is happening with J.J. McCarthy?
He's zooming up the draft boards. Quarterbacks always, and I'm not saying J.J.'s a bad quarterback, but quarterbacks always get overdrafted as far as they get picked higher than maybe they should. But, hey...
He looked beautiful at his pro debut.
He sure did, wearing that all-white
No, but I mean...
the way he threw.
These guys launch the ball. I was watching, I saw all of them. Drake May had his, and then Penix also had his.
Yep.
Penix is going to go high. A lot of people are saying Penix is going to go to the Raiders, which makes sense for them.
He's so accurate. I mean, he's
got a cannon for
and he can throw it on. His only thing is his knees. That's the word.
Yeah, but he ran a 4.3 at his pro day.
Yeah,
he looked great.
Yeah, he did. Exactly.
Everybody gets knee problems in football. It's just the
right.
But maybe they're behind him. I don't know. We saw what Penix did in the bowl championship series. I mean, he laced Texas.
Oh, yeah, he sure did.
And he had some problems against Michigan, but Michigan had the best defense in the league.
Yeah,
so,
they might set the record this year in the number of players drafted from one team.
Yeah,
so.
Just fascinating stuff. They're talking about McCarthy maybe going to the Giants.
Yeah.
Who knows? So I'm trying to wangle my media credentials to go to the draft. So. We'll keep you tabbed on that. Thanks for joining us here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff. Don't forget, Tiger Baseball back on the air. What is it, 2 o'clock?
Tomorrow. Yes, exactly.
All right, and then the Red Wings will be on Saturday night. Let's root home a winner. That's going to do it for us here on Up North Sports Radio. Oh, the home opener, Tiger home opener, is next Friday, April 5th. And we'll be having a live broadcast party at the Iron Pig in Gaylord. We hope you can show up there. You can win a pair of Tiger tickets. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on. So thanks, and hope to see you there.
Bye.
Their fan base has been taken to the gates of hell. Bill, I would say it's anarchy, but I know it's not. It's just college basketball.
I love it, John. Unless you're an Arizona fan, and then I have deep sympathy for you, John Rothstein, here on the program. And look, like, I'm taking nothing away from Alabama. That is obviously a huge win against UNC, and it's kind of cool as a neutral, John, to see some of the chalk fall away. But the door to the Final Four is pretty wide open for both those programs. Looking forward a little bit, Clemson, Alabama. Do you see a distinct advantage for one of those two teams?
Well, I played earlier in the season. Clemson won the game in Tuscaloosa. It's another tremendous contrast in styles. Alabama wants to play at breakneck speed. Clemson wants to play at a slower pace. And I was fortunate enough to cover Clemson last week in Memphis when Clemson beat New Mexico and Baylor. And Baylor in the round of 64, Bill, had put up 92 points against Colgate and only got 64 against Clemson because the Tigers controlled the game from tip until finish. One of the main reasons why has been obviously the play of Chase Hunter, who has been a breakout star in the NCAA tournament. He was sensational again last night. And the more and more I watch this Clemson team, and I saw him obviously twice in person last week in Memphis, it really reminds me of the styles that Rick Majerus used to play at Utah in the late 90s when he had those great teams with Doliak, with Van Horn, with Andre Miller. It's a similar style in terms of physicality, and it's a similar style in terms of discipline. Clemson never wavers from what it wants to accomplish. And, Bill, this isn't probably the made-for-TV matchup that a lot of people wanted. It might be if the game started with a kickoff instead of a tip-off. But this is part of what makes the NCAA tournament so special. On Saturday night, either Clemson or Alabama will be going to the Final Four for the first time ever.
John Rothstein just blew my mind because at that Clemson game, watching them dominate just defensively and physically, you're right. There was something in my brain. I watched those Utah teams. I loved those Utah teams. That is such a great, what a great call, John. All right, let me ask you a question that I have a personal rooting interest here. It won't impact your answer, but UConn dominated San Diego State, and that they look. I mean, my God, they look so good so far in this tournament. But you know how this goes, John. When you're covering, especially the sport you cover, college basketball coaches they're great when they're great. And many moons ago in my college basketball reporting days when I covered Kansas State and I got to know Huggy and I got to know Frank Martin, I got to know Brad Underwood, and I got to know Brad really well. And you root for the good guys in this business. I've been following this Illinois team. I'm rooting for this Illinois team. They are really interesting. I'm a fan of Brad as a coach and a person, but UConn looks so dominant. Can Illinois get to that level we've seen from UConn, or is that just a huge upset if the Fighting Illini find a way to win that game?
Well, let's look at the positives right now. Illinois unequivocally has the best wing tandem in college basketball with Terrence Shannon Jr. and Marcus Domask. Terrence Shannon Jr. has separated himself, and I wrote this today, as the best individual scorer remaining in the NCAA tournament. Since the start of the Big Ten tournament, he's averaging over 31 points per game. And to beat UConn, you have to be able to go over the top of UConn's defense with a face-up five. Illinois has that in Coleman Hawkins. So the personnel for Illinois is suited to make it difficult for UConn, again, to come out and guard them. That's the positive. Here's the negative. Illinois has to win a road game to get to the Final Four. The TD Garden in Boston is 84 miles from Campbell Pavilion, and we're looking at a UConn team right now that has won its last 8 NCAA tournament games by an average of 22.9 points per game. And for all that UConn has accomplished in its storied legacy and history under Jim Calhoun, 5 national titles, 6 Final Fours, a whopping 19 Big East regular season and tournament titles combined, UConn has never been to the Final Four in back-to-back seasons. The Huskies are playing for a piece of history. It would be an incredible upset for Illinois to go to Boston and beat UConn, considering how well the Huskies are playing. But remember, we have seen teams with regional advantages lose games in this type of a setting. I'll give you 2 examples. In Boston 12 years ago, Syracuse was the number 2 team in the country behind Kentucky in 2012, lost Fab Melo before the start of the NCAA tournament, and lost to Jared Sullinger, Aaron Kraft, and Ohio State in the East Regional Final in Boston. And remember, 7 years ago in Kansas City, Frank Mason in Kansas played in Kansas City in a regional final, but came up short against Tyler Dorsey in Oregon. It's possible, and logically, I wouldn't predict it. But, Bill, you know as well as I do, logic does not exist in college basketball.
All right, so I'm going to root for Illinois, but I won't put – I like – and I'm not a neutral in that game, but as a neutral, I obviously like watching Cinderella's dance at the ball as far as they can. I like watching the big dogs go down. I just think the drama's fun. So if I'm rooting for that, is there either the Zags tonight or maybe Houston? Those are both obviously really good teams against Purdue and against Duke, respectively. Do you see a scenario where one of those big dogs can lose and go down in the madness of March?
If you're asking me my picks tonight, I've got Houston, Marquette, Purdue, and Creighton. These are the storylines tonight. Houston, Duke. We've got the toughest team in college basketball against probably the most highly recruited team in college basketball. Kelvin Sampson, when he went to the Final Four in 2002 with Oklahoma, was coming of age as a coach. John Shire was 14 years old at that time. Tonight, the two go head-to-head. NC State is the darling of the NCAA tournament. 17-14 at the end of the regular season. The Wolfpack have won 7 consecutive games. But when you have a team like NC State that is constantly pressuring the opponent, it can be sometimes a disadvantage if you bring that pressure against the team that has multiple ball handlers. Marquette has 2 of the best in Cam Jones and Tyler Kolek, and also Oso Ighodaro is a player on Marquette that Shaka Smart has openly made into a point center. So Marquette to me is tailor-made to handle his pressure. I like Shaka Smart and the Golden Eagles. Purdue and Gonzaga. Purdue is 2 wins away from immortality. Purdue is 2 wins away from exercising the demons from last year against Fairleigh Dickinson, which was the biggest upset in the history of the NCAA tournament, and 2 years ago against St. Peter's. The Boilers are 2-0 against Gonzaga in the last 2 seasons. I don't think that changes tonight. Now, here's where things get interesting. Tennessee has averaged over 24 wins per season in the last 7 years under Rick Barnes, but the Vols have never gotten past the Sweet 16 under Rick Barnes. This has been the round where Tennessee has really struggled. Remember, last year Tennessee lost to Florida Atlantic without Zakai Ziegler. This is what I'm concerned with. Tennessee really struggled to score against Texas, only got 62. The starting backcourt for Tennessee, Santiago Vescovi and Zakai Ziegler, is only 8 of 27 from the field in the NCAA tournament. And you know as well as I do, Ryan Kalkbrenner for Creighton is the 3-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, and he's almost like a hockey goalie who's on a hot streak. With the way he can not only not only protect the front of the rim, but also be in a situation where he can defend without fouling, Bill. That is an art, to be able to protect things at the rim without fouling. So I, Bill, am going to take Creighton over Tennessee, setting up on the right side of your bracket, Houston, Marquette, and also Purdue against Creighton.
I love it. John Rothstein here on the show, breaking it down for us. John, let me ask you a big picture question. I know we're in the granular of the tournament, but every year when I'm watching this thing, I'm just reminded of how much upperclassmen matter and how much team chemistry matters and how much, even though we focus on individual talents, and that's a big part of the sport, and obviously a lot of those are young guys that have huge NBA futures and maybe don't stick around as long, that the ability for a coach to really mold a team in practice and have guys together and go through some battles, that transfers to this time of year. That's even harder now, obviously, with NIL/transfer portal realities. Is there a new calculus or a new approach to the old calculus for how guys have to build their teams and build their programs to be talked about by John Rothstein this time of year?
Look, Bill, I said this last night on our show, and I think it's really, really, something that's become a fact with, obviously, the COVID additional year of eligibility. Look at the NCAA tournament right now and look at the players who are having big-time years. COVID seniors. These are the COVID seniors who are in their 5th year of eligibility that are performing for the teams we've seen the past couple of nights. You ready? Terrence Shannon Jr., Marcus Domask, Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer. These guys are all COVID seniors who came back to use an additional year of eligibility. It is no secret that you have to be old in college basketball to have success, and you have to have certain principles ingrained. And another one we are going to see tonight in Baylor Shireman at Creighton, who has had an All-American type season. Who will he be playing tonight? Dalton Connect, a fifth-year player who a year ago was at Northern Colorado. He comes to Tennessee. He has transcended Tennessee's ceiling because of his offense. And then you look elsewhere around the other bracket tonight. Let's look at NC State. Breakthrough run. What's DJ Burns? He's a COVID senior. What's Casey Morcell? He's a COVID senior. None of this is a coincidence. None of this is an accident. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Until the clock sets back to normal with recruiting, you need to recruit productive COVID seniors with the same fervor that you recruit five-star prospects. San Diego State went to the national title game last year. It had a slew of players who were using their extra year of eligibility.
That is such a great insight. John Rothstein here on the show. I'm Bill Ryder on CBS Sports Radio. John, let's close here. Give me how you think this thing finishes off, Final Four and beyond. What are we looking at?
Sticking with Connecticut out of the East, I'm going to stick with Houston and Purdue on the right side of your bracket, and then I'm going to go with Clemson out of the West.
Love that. And if you were going to crown a likely national champion, or is UConn the pick, or do you see something else playing out?
I am still hoping we have a clash of the Titans with UConn and Purdue in the national title game, Clingan against Donovan Clingan against Zach Edey, 7-2 against 7-4 in the middle, a throwback to the mid-1990s. That'll feel like The Undertaker against Kane in WrestleMania 14.
John, dude, hey, man, love the insight. That was incredible. Appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. Thanks for making us all a bunch smarter.
Bill, awesome to finally connect with you, man. Love the show.
You too, pal. Thank you. John Rossi, that was amazing. CBS Sports college basketball analyst, host of College Hoops Today podcast, college basketball insider, John Rossi on Twitter. If I could send you, wherever you're listening, some of you I know from social media, some of you I don't, appreciate all of you. If I could send you a GIF, right? You just send gifts to your buddies. I would send you the Beautiful Mind GIF right now and just be John Rothstein, a little sign pointing up. That dude's basketball brain is impressive. Wow. It's also really nice. Bill, as you well know, and then he breaks down like an arithmetic equation of the physics of a shot. Yeah, no, I totally know that too. Guy's awesome. All right, 855-212-4CBS. We're closing out a fun week. Closing out for John and I. That's a compliment he didn't deserve. For Tom and I. His name's Tom. Names are hard. We're on vacation next week. We're closing out our week. Let's do buy or sell. We have a lot of things in sports we have not hit, including some NFL news, next here on CBS Sports Radio.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And with My Lowe's Rewards, your savings just keep coming. Save money with member-only offers and earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards just for you. Because Lowe's knows you earned it, literally. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowes.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
O'Reilly Auto Parts can take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. Veriscan is a free service that pulls from over 600 million vehicle scans confirmed by ASE certified technicians to provide a simple report and possible fixes. The professional parts people can recommend a repair shop if needed. O'Reilly Veriscan, a free check engine light testing program available exclusively at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This March, Wendy's has some amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it.
Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
The weather is brought to you by Bay Mills Resort and Casino, your year-round adventure on the shores of Lake Superior. After a fun-filled day outside, enjoy excitement at Bay Mills with your favorite games, food, and entertainment. Visit baymillscasino.com or like Bay Mills on Facebook.
Happy Friday. It's up at 9:10 meteorologist Haley Fischetti. Here's a look at today's forecast. We're seeing those sunny skies across the region today. It's looking pretty nice. Now, there will be a few more clouds the further north you are, so Upper Peninsula looking at partly cloudy skies, but still going to be a nice end to the work week, with highs warming into the upper 30s to upper 40s with some low 50s for some areas. And as you continue throughout the night, where lows are back in the mid-20s to mid-30s, with more clouds moving in, wind staying from the northeast. Tomorrow, if you're traveling for Easter, preparing for some snow, areas north of M32, those further south, looking at some rain showers as temperatures are in the 30s and 40s. We'll have all the details on 9 and 10 News.
Listen to your mouth. It just may be screaming for something from the smokehouse at Trout Town in Kalkaska. Like maybe the barbecue ribs, cherry and hickory smoked St. Louis style ribs that are slow roasted to perfection and covered in homemade barbecue sauce. Your mouth knows what it wants. And right now, it's screaming for ribs. Include some Redskins, a little cornbread, and an ice cold beer. Now your mouth will be happy. Get more at TroutTownTavern.com. Trout Town, for up north flavor.
Tune in to Red Wings Hockey on Up North Sports Radio. Brought to you in part by Cherry Capital Airport, TVC. Your total value in convenient airport, TVC.com. Red Wings Hockey on 101.1 WGRY. Up North Sports Radio.
One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? The stress from excessive credit card debt can ruin your life. Collection calls, sleepless nights. If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. DebtBlue uses secret programs that most credit card companies won't tell you about. They'll help you consolidate or settle your debts for a fraction of what you owe. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. There's no risk. The more you owe, the more DebtBlue can save you. See how easy it is to get started with free information. Let DebtBlue show you how 10 minutes could save you thousands. Call now. 800-200-6895. That's 800-200-6895.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it. And the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Welcome back to Writer Than You.
There's also 2 million podcasts that I listen to now. I tried not to do podcasts forever, and now I can't. I listen to SmartList. I watch a ton of soccer. I listen to soccer podcasts. Obviously, Beyond the Arc. I listen back on repeat to myself talking. That's always fun. You should listen to.
On CBS Sports Radio.
You're so amused with yourself. Welcome back into the show. No, we're not playing Arizona to mock or mourn that team. We just play at this spot every show. I don't know why. It just happens on a previous producer, and Tom does it, and it's a good song. Love it.
I thought this was your thing.
No.
So are you giving me the power to change this on Fridays?
I don't want to give you the power to do anything.
Fair enough.
I like the song as if somebody, might have been Stu,